Welcome back, dear students. So in the last lecture we are discussing tools of genetic engineering. So the various tools, or more precisely these are the biomolecules, or the part of the cell or cell organelle, or the region of the or part of the organism that has been used in the genetic engineering for desired genetic manipulations. So these tools we are going to study here. So various DNA modifying enzymes are used. So the first one that we already discussed is the nucleases, more precisely restriction endonucleases. These are most commonly used in the genetic engineering experiments because the restriction endonucleases enzyme makes a site specific cuts in the DNA molecule. The most popular enzymes are EcoR1, HindH3, HInd3, etc. So type second restriction endonucleases are mostly used in the genetic engineering experiments. So after restriction endonucleases enzymes, now in this lecture we are going to study the other two enzymes used in the genetic engineering. These are DNA ligases and polymerases. So the first one is the ligases. The literary meaning of the ligases is the join, to join. Ligation means to join. So to join the adjacent nucleotides by the formation of a final phosphodiester bond has been catalyzed by the enzyme DNA ligase. So DNA ligases are the enzymes which joins DNA fragments together. So to produce a recombinant DNA, or during the construction of recombinant DNA molecule, the two fragments of the DNA has to be joined to each other. So this work has been, or this task has been performed by the enzyme ligases. So here during genetic engineering, a DNA fragment from a source organism has to be ligated to the vector DNA for its introduction into the other organism where we want the desired character. So to perform insertion of the DNA into the suitable vector, so such two DNA fragments are joined together by means of the enzyme ligases. So ligases are the enzymes which joins DNA fragments together. In the cell, the function of DNA ligase is to repair single-stranded breaks. So as you know that the DNA replication on the lagging strand is discontinuous. So as a result of which it produces the fragments of the DNA. So to make the DNA fragment continuous in the cell, the DNA ligase enzyme has to be used to repair the single-stranded breaks that arise in double-stranded DNA molecules during DNA replication. So to make these fragments continuous, or to make the single strand of the DNA to continue, these DNA ligase enzymes has to be used for joining the DNA fragments on the lagging strand during DNA replication. DNA ligases from most organisms can also join together two individual fragments of double-stranded DNA. So the DNA ligases are the enzymes which joins the single-stranded breaks in the double-stranded DNA molecule. Also, the DNA ligases from most organisms can also join together two individual fragments of the double-stranded DNA. So both single-stranded and double-stranded DNA molecules can be joined together by means of the enzyme ligase. The final step in the construction of recombinant DNA molecule is the joining together of the vector molecule and the DNA to be cloned. This process is referred to as ligation, and the enzyme that catalyzes the reaction is called DNA ligase. So during the construction of the recombinant DNA molecule, so why it is the recombinant DNA? Because it possesses the DNA from two different sources. Suppose if you take the example of the BT cotton variety, so while making, or while the making the, or manipulating the genetic makeup of the cotton plant, First, the recombinant DNA has been produced. So that recombinant DNA is produced by first isolating the gene from the Bacillus thuringiensis. Such gene has been cleaved with the enzyme restriction endonuclease to produce the sticky ends. Similarly, the vector DNA is also cleaved with the same restriction endonuclease to produce the complementary sticky ends. Now, when we are going to insert that BT gene into the vector DNA, the enzyme required is the DNA ligase. So this is the enzyme which catalyzes the reaction in the construction of the recombinant DNA molecule. So the final step in the construction of the recombinant DNA molecule is the joining together of the vector molecule and the DNA to be cloned. This process is referred to as ligation, and the enzyme that catalyzes the reaction is called DNA ligase. So DNA ligase enzyme has been used during the construction of a recombinant DNA molecule, a DNA that has been obtained from two different, or that has been produced from two different sources, where it possesses a DNA of the vector molecule and a DNA to be cloned, or a gene of interest, or a DNA or a desired DNA that has been obtained from the source organism. So such recombinant DNA construction has been carried out by joining together the vector DNA and a gene of interest or DNA to be cloned. So this process is referred as ligation, and the enzyme that catalyzes the reaction is called DNA ligase. So the main function of the DNA ligase enzyme is join together DNA fragments. It can join the single stranded DNA fragments also, and it also joins the double stranded DNA. So DNA ligases are important for joining DNA fragments together. So this is helpful during the construction of a recombinant DNA molecule. So there are two different types of DNA ligases: E. coli DNA ligase and bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase. E. coli and bacteriophage T4 encode the enzyme DNA ligase, which seals single-stranded nicks or breaks between adjacent nucleotides in a duplex DNA strand or chain. So the enzyme that has been obtained from E. coli and bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase, T4, it encodes the enzyme DNA ligase. So these DNA ligases seals single-stranded nicks or breaks between the adjacent nucleotides in a double-stranded DNA molecule. The reaction catalyzed by the enzymes of E. coli and T4 phase infected E. coli is very similar, but they differ in their cofactor requirements. So DNA ligases from E. coli and T4 bacteriophage T4, they perform the similar function, that is, it catalyzes the joining of adjacent nucleotides in the DNA double helix, but they differ in their cofactor requirements. The T4 enzymes requires ATP, whereas the E. coli enzyme requires NAD. So this is the cofactor requirement for these different types of DNA ligase. The first one is the bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase, and the second one is the E. coli DNA ligase. The bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase enzyme requires ATP as cofactor, whereas the E. coli DNA ligase enzymes requires NAD. Both of these DNA ligases catalyze the formation of a phosphodiester bond between adjacent 3' hydroxyl and 5' phosphate termini in DNA. So both E. coli and bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase catalyze the formation of a phosphodiester bond between the adjacent nucleotides. So the phosphodiester bond takes place between the 3' OH of one nucleotide and 5' phosphate of the adjacent nucleotide in the DNA. In each case, the cofactor is split and forms an enzyme AMP complex. This complex binds to the nick or break and makes a covalent bond in the phosphodiester chain. So this covalent bond formation takes place between 3' OH group of one nucleotide and 5' phosphate of the adjacent nucleotide. So this enzyme AMP complex that binds to the nick and make a final phosphodiester bond. So in this case, this cofactor has been split or break and it forms an enzyme AMP complex. This enzyme AMP complex binds to the nick and makes a covalent bond in the phosphodiester chain. This covalent bond formation takes place between the 3' hydroxyl OH group of one nucleotide and 5' phosphate group of adjacent nucleotides. So in this way, the phosphodiester bond, that is the 3' 5' phosphodiester bond formation takes place in the DNA strand. So this has been catalyzed by the enzyme DNA ligase. Bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase is often used in gene cloning because it can join DNA molecules of annelid cohesive DNA termini or NICs as well as join blunt-ended double-stranded DNA molecules. Whereas E. coli DNA ligase is ineffective in ligating blunt-ended DNA fragments. So bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase is commonly used in genetic engineering because it can join both types of DNA fragments, that is those DNA fragments which having sticky ends or those having blunt end. So both blunt ended and sticky ended DNA fragments has been joined by bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase, because of which it is often used in gene cloning or in genetic engineering. Whereas E. coli DNA ligase is ineffective in ligating blunt-ended DNA fragments. So more commonly or mostly or oftenly, this bacteriophage T4 DNA ligase is used in gene cloning or genetic engineering. Why? Because it can join both sticky as well as blunt-ended double-stranded DNA fragments. Whereas E. coli DNA ligase cannot able to ligate blunt-ended DNA fragments. It can join only sticky-ended DNA fragments. Next enzyme used in genetic engineering is the polymerases. The meaning of this: polymerize, to synthesize, to form polymers. So polymers, poly means many, mers means units. So various units are joined to each other by the enzymes polymerase. Here the DNA polymerase enzyme we are going to discuss. So it can synthesize the nucleotides by joining together the various nucleotides. So DNA polymerases are enzymes which synthesize a new strand of a DNA complementary to an existing DNA or RNA template. So DNA polymerases are used in the DNA replication because it can synthesize a new strand of the DNA which is complementary to an existing DNA or the template strand. Most polymerases can function only if the template possesses a short double-stranded region that act as a primer for initiation of polymerization. If you see the DNA replication, so the DNA replication has been performed by the DNA polymerase enzyme. These enzymes require a short double-stranded region to start the DNA replication. So that can be provided by the RNA primer. So this short double-stranded region that act as a primer for initiation of DNA replication or polymerization. So most polymerases can function only if the template possesses a double-stranded region that act as a primer for initiation of polymerization. Different types of DNA polymerases are used commonly in genetic engineering. The DNA polymerase first, second and third are observed in E. coli. In addition to this, three major enzymes which are used in genetic engineering are the DNA modifying enzymes. These enzymes which remove or add chemical groups from nucleic acid are alkaline phosphatase, polynucleotide kinase, terminal deoxynucleotidyl transferase. So these are the enzymes which are required in addition to the restriction endonucleases, ligases and polymerases. So DNA polymerases are those enzymes which synthesize a new strand of the DNA complementary to the existing DNA or the template DNA. These DNA polymerase enzymes require a short double-stranded region to start to prime the DNA synthesis. So different types of DNA polymerases are used. These are DNA polymerase first, DNA polymerase third. So these are observed in E. coli. In addition to this DNA modifying enzyme, some more enzymes are also used in the genetic engineering. These are alkaline phosphatase, polynucleotide kinase, terminal deoxynucleotidyl transferase. So this is all about the enzymes used in the genetic engineering. More precisely, these are the DNA modifying enzymes: restriction endonucleases, DNA ligases, DNA polymerases, alkaline phosphatase, polynucleotide kinase, terminal deoxynucleotidyl transferases. These are the DNA modifying enzymes refers as tools of genetic engineering. Next to this is the vectors. So vectors are the vehicles for the transfer of DNA from one organism to the other organism. So vectors are the molecules which carry gene or DNA fragment and inserts into the host cell. So it performs the function of a vehicle. So these are also known as a molecular vehicles. So vector, these are the DNA molecules which carry a gene or a DNA fragment or a desired DNA or the desired gene or a gene of interest. So vector carry a gene of interest or a desired gene and insert it into the host cell. So these are also known as molecular vehicles. A DNA molecule needs to display several features to be able to act as a vector for gene cloning. So there are certain features of the vector so that they can be used in the genetic engineering experiment. So vector, it is a DNA molecule. It is an extra nuclear or extra chromosomal DNA found in the certain bacteria, viruses. So these are referred as the vector which perform the transfer of a DNA from one organism to the other organism. So vectors are the DNA molecules which carry a gene of interest or a gene to be cloned or a DNA fragment or the desired gene and insert that gene into the host cell. So these are also known as molecular vehicles. So a DNA molecule needs to display several features to be able to act as a vector for gene cloning. So these features we are going to study one by one. So those DNA molecules can be used as a vector should possess these features. The first one is it should contain a replicon or a origin of replication that enable it to replicate in host cell. So it should have ORI site or origin of replication so that it can enable it to replicate in the host cells. It should have several marker genes which helps to differentiate the transformed cells from the non-transformed cells. So vector DNA should have several marker genes, for example antibiotic resistance genes. So these genes helps to differentiate the transformed cells from the non-transformed cell. So what happens during gene cloning or in genetic engineering, a desired DNA or a gene of interest has been combined with a vector DNA to produce the recombinant DNA, and such recombinant DNA has been transformed into the host cell. Now in the host cell we have to find out which cells are transformed by the recombinant DNA and which cells are not transformed. So these are the transformed cell and non-transformed cells. If the vector possesses the marker gene, it helps to differentiate the transformed cells from the non-transformed cells. So to make a differentiation between the transformed cells and non-transformed cells, the vector DNA or the vector should have several marker genes. Third one feature is it should have a unique cleavage site or the restriction site within one of the marker genes, so that the insertion of foreign DNA into the marker gene leads to its inactivation and identification of recombinant DNA molecule. So vector, it should possess the unique cleavage site or the restriction site for restriction endonuclease enzyme within one of the marker gene. The second one feature that we seen is the vector should have several marker genes. The third one is the vector should have unique cleavage site within one of the marker gene. So what is the feature of this? If the vector possesses the unique cleavage site within one of the marker gene, and when we insert a gene of interest or the foreign DNA into that marker gene, the marker gene get inactivated. So as a result of which it helps for identification of the recombinant DNA, because the marker gene get inactivated because of the insertion of the foreign DNA into the marker gene. So it helps for the identification of the recombinant DNA. So marker gene when get inactivated, it not able to produce its effect. So as a result of which it helps for identification of the recombinant DNA, because that marker gene get inactivated due to the insertion of the foreign DNA into the marker gene. Okay, so this is the third one important feature of the vector. The vector should have unique cleavage site within one of the marker genes, so that insertion of foreign DNA into the marker gene leads to its inactivation and it enables identification of recombinant DNA molecule. The last one feature is for the expression of the cloned DNA, the vector DNA should contain suitable control elements such as promoters, terminators, and ribosome binding sites. So these are the specific elements or the sequences that should be present on the vector DNA, or one can say the vector DNA should contain suitable control elements for the expression of the clone DNA. Which are these elements? These are promoters, terminators, and ribosome binding sites. So such elements are required for the expression of the cloned DNA. So the vector DNA should contain such control elements. So there are certain examples of the vectors used in the genetic engineering. So there are different types of vectors used in genetic engineering. For example, plasmids, PBR322, PUC8, TI plasmid, RI plasmid. So these are the examples of the plasmid. Bacteriophages, lambda, M13, cosmids, phagmids, bacterial artificial chromosomes, BAC, yeast artificial chromosomes, YAC, and plant and animal viruses. So these are the vectors used in genetic engineering. So in our syllabus we have only the plasmids. So we take the two examples, PBR322 and PUC vectors. So plasmids are the extra chromosomal double-stranded closed circular DNA molecule exist in the bacterial cell as an extra chromosomal unit. These are self-replicating, or they can replicate autonomously. Some other vectors are also used in the genetic engineering that comprises bacteriophages, lambda, M13, cosmids, phagmids, BAC, YAC, and plant and animal viruses. So one by one we are going to study the vectors, that is the PBR322 and PUC vectors. So in your syllabus we have only the plasmids. So in the next lecture we will study the plasmids. Okay, so up to this we finish the DNA modifying enzymes, that is the restriction endonucleases, DNA ligases, and DNA polymerases. In the next lecture we will study the plasmid. So plasmids are the vectors used in the genetic engineering. Okay, thank you, stay home, be safe.